But yet some of y'all want to find excuses for the Mohammed's death. Excuses. Oh, it's allegations. Fair enough, it's allegations. And any allegation, people deserve their time in court. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong at all. Allegations, yeah. But what about indictments and all these things, indictments upon indictments? I don't know. You guys got to wake up. Tom Anderson is with us. Our executive producer didn't say that Tom is on. I am doing the show. Tom is on the back end of the studio, and I didn't even put the red carpet down so that Tom Anderson can join us. Tom, good night, and sorry to have you waiting, man. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm great, Mark. How's everyone doing tonight? Good to see everybody.
Yeah. Tom, what's going on? What have you been digging about these four guys who have been sanctioned? They haven't mentioned anything that they're going to have their own political party and run for office. But what's going on with these four sanctioned guys, again, as we begin the program tonight with you, sir?
Well, this is just the beginning of, more of the United States government getting into the inner workings, the political inner workings, the backroom dealings of the PPP led government. And so you have a little bit wrong on your graph there. Those guys are Venezuelan, not Colombian. They're Venezuelan. But so the issue here is that and I was saying this before. So first of all, everybody, just so everyone understands and so that we're all on the same page, what I'm bringing to the table, Mark, and why I'm coming on to the show is because I have a long extended history here in the United States of over 15 years of dealing with corruption as a government watchdog in high places in the United States. So that would mean the United States Senate. That would mean the presidency itself, the House of Representatives, major corporations, wealthy individuals. I've done that now for over 15 years here in the United States. And so why am I on a show for Guyana? Well, here's the reason why. Because now the United States is dealing heavily with your nation. And what I'm trying to do is share knowledge with everyone there. Hey, look, here are the people here on the United States end who are the key people who are making decisions as it relates to Guyana. And I'm trying to translate for all of you so that you can understand how our government and the decision makers when it comes to Guyana, how they're making their decisions and how they're viewing you guys and your nation and how things are going. So that's what I'm offering. OK, and it's a very unique perspective because very few people are going to know who the key players are in the United States when it comes to Guyana. First of all, I'm one of the few. But secondly, for the few who do know, I know intimately who these people are because I've been dealing with them in the media space, filing complaints on them. Some of them have even gone to jail underneath work that I've done, investigative work I've done. So I know what your nation's dealing with when you're dealing with America. In some ways, you're dealing with an alternate side of the United States government, your nation in specific, Guyana, because for so long, you guys were basically in the shadows. So what happened is people within our government who have unique positions that aren't very public, per se, became specialists on your country, and they became almost like a deep state where they could do things and influence things in your land that may not be to your benefit or even to America's benefit, but it was to their specific benefits. And I'll give you a name of a guy like a Mike Pompeo, for example, right? I think what he was doing was for his own personal benefit, in my opinion. Okay. And I'm saying that speaking from the perspective of a government watchdog here in the United States that's been dealing with the most corrupt politicians, office holders, and corporations in the United States for 15 years. So my guess is Mike Pompeo is one of these guys who was doing it for his own benefit, influencing your nation. And so I'm just trying to tell you guys what happens on your end when you guys make different decisions. So right now, one of the decisions you're making is to maybe have as your leader someone who has been by our country sanctioned for smuggling gold, right? And also allegations of dealing in drugs, money laundering, all sorts of things, right? Rubbing shoulders with terrorists. These are the accusations, right? And so all I'm trying to tell everyone who's listening in Guyana is this: when the key people in our nation, and I know who these guys are, it's not Trump, by the way. Donald Trump is not a specialist on Guyana. When he makes his decision, ultimately, he's relying on other people within his administration to guide him on this. And I'm just letting you guys know, I know who these guys are. And I know how they deal with nations like Guyana. And I'm just telling you, if you guys select a guy who we are saying is a gold smuggler, the people in our country who have a lot of influence over your nation, they're going to feel like they can have a field day on you guys. They're going to feel like they can abuse your nation. They're going to feel like they can rob you blind, and there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it, because they'll partner with a man who they see as a thief from his own people. That's how they'll see it. Now, if Azruddin Mohammed, let's say he becomes president, and let's say we are let's say partner with him or something like that. The bottom line is this: if we partner with him, it's going to be to rob the nation blind, your nation blind. Why am I saying that? Because I know in our government who is making the decisions on this, and those guys are not going to respect you if who you select is a guy who we say is a gold smuggler. So that's where I'm at on it, Mark. You're
Sorry
on
about
mute.
that.
Sorry.
Be
Yeah.
careful. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Be careful, because you don't want to put gangsters, remove one pack of gangsters and replace them with another set of gangsters. And the Mohammeds have no history of fighting for you and your human rights or whatever. We'll touch on that on some other occasion as we move on. Tom, 7 Guyanese deported from the U.S. active on, they have arrived, on special charter. The deportees are now beginning to head to Guyana, compliments of Trump. What is your take on this? Just 7 on a chartered flight. 7.
Yeah, this is the beginning of what will be many, many more. And most likely, you guys are going to start housing people that aren't even Guyanese. Like, we're going to start sending you guys British people, most likely.
So do you think there's a deal? Because I know when you were director there as government special watchdog and so forth, you did a heck of a lot of work. And a lot of people might be wondering, what's the interest in Guyana? But I'm glad that you've actually outlined it. And let me say, just to repeat, Tom is not a Guyanese, but he knows a lot about Guyana. Tom, what's this thing here? And would you be surprised that there's a deal between the government of Guyana and the U.S. to take non-Guyanese nationals as deportees?
No, that would be, I mean, it would almost be common sense. There would be a deal, because it's something that the PPP can do that doesn't really bother them much, and they can get a lot of credit for it from the Trump administration, right? So they get a lot of bang for their buck. Housing, let's say 500, British people and Jamaican guys, that's not going to hurt them. That's not going to hurt the PPP too much. Okay. It's not going to be a big deal. And for that, they would get like a few big asks from this administration, where this administration would really look out for them. So yeah, this is a key topic, key subject for the Trump administration. It's very important to them. And it would be common sense for the PPP to cut a deal. If they haven't cut a deal, then that's, bad on them, because this is the type of thing that they could really, find some a symbiotic relationship with the Trump administration on this, and it could really do them a lot of favors if they did it. I don't know if they have, but so that's why I say most likely it's happened, because the PPP, these guys are pretty sharp when it comes to politics, and they've got a pretty good lobbying company that they've hired that have probably told them, hey man, let's make sure we're open to this, because that'll open doors for us, for our ask, when we want to go after Melly Mel or Rickford Burke or Mark Benshop, right? Like that's what they're trying to do.
All right. Thank you so much, Tom Anderson, and to all of you who have just joined us. Wake up, people. Wake up. Do not be fooled by vagabonds who want to run for office. Do not, you know who those vagabonds are. Just a matter of time, though. But Wayne Caesar has joined us. Wayne, give us a quick take on the 7 Guyanese deported to Guyana. Are you surprised? And the question I asked Tom was whether there is some sort of deal between the U.S. and Guyana to accept non-nationals. Were that to be the case, how would that look?
Well, first of all, a pleasant good evening to you, Mark. Good evening, Tom. And a pleasant good evening to all the freedom fighters present tonight. Listen, Mark, if that is the case, I don't want to believe that it's a deal between the United States and Guyana. And you can look at that in different ways. If the individuals that would have came in, the 7 individuals that would have came in on that flight, if they are Guyanese, I don't believe it's a deal. I just believe that these are, Guyanese that have committed crimes in the United States, and they're being sent back home. Now, when you get to non-nationals now, and Guyana making a deal to accept non-nationals, now you're bringing people into a country that they have no real knowledge of. Okay, they've never lived there. They were not born there. We do not have the systems and programs in place in Guyana to rehabilitate these people and let them back into society. So I see that as being very unfair to the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, and it's going to lead to a major disaster, because if these people coming in with these criminal records, I can see them going and working for certain security firms and these kind of things if they're gun handlers. And look, what they're going to do to the Guyanese citizens, I don't even want to say it here, but that's not a good thing for Guyana, Mark. That's not
And
good for Guyana.
whatever, it's okay. Those people may have served their time. We don't know the nature as to why they were, circumstances as to why they were deported. It could have been they overstayed their time as well. But 7 on a flight, we don't know as yet. And rehabilitation doesn't start with those who are being sent back to Guyana. While I agree with you in terms of certain criminals who have been individuals who have been convicted spend their time, maybe they have not been fully rehabilitated or whatever. But at the end of the day, rehabilitation, I think Irfan Ali needs rehabilitation. I think Bharat Jagdev needs rehabilitation. And those vagabonds in the PPP, they need rehabilitation. But let's get back to Tom Anderson. Tom, uh, since the visit by the U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, uh, what are you seeing? Because the PPP thought they were going to get an easy way out. Are you seeing that? Is it evident that the PPP is getting an easy way out because of
Man,
Marco Rubio?
oh no, it's been rough. These secondary sanctions after the Mohammeds, just it's doubling down, and it's like I said, it's getting deeper into the backroom corruption that's behind the scenes of the PPP. Okay, so so this is to be, and we've been looking at this for a long time. Mark, you tell me if I'm wrong, but this is some of the most aggressive sanctioning that I've seen come out of the United States in a long time. And I know these are all Treasury Department, but just trust me when I tell you, the State Department has a heavy, 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 heavy hand on what the Treasury Department's doing. Like they act almost, hand in glove, the two. So, there's no way the Treasury Department is doing this like this, if not because, Rubio is pushing them hard. I guarantee you Rubio's been pushing them real hard. So yeah, and here's the thing, like I was saying earlier, the problem that the PPP has with a guy like Rubio as Secretary of State is that his network of information is different. It's different than any other Secretary of State that the people of Guyana have ever seen. Okay, it's a totally different. You have to understand that when you're dealing with Marco Rubio, his information network are people who are from where you guys live. It's Cubans, it's people Puerto Ricans, it's people all throughout the Caribbean. That's his eyes and ears, Marco Rubio. That's his eyes and ears. Okay. So we haven't had you guys haven't seen a Secretary of State like that, whose eyes and ears are you guys' backyard. Right. So because of that, I think you're going to continue to see more of an aggressive stance towards the PPP, towards these smuggler guys, towards different traffickers. I think it's going to become much more aggressive because you got a guy like Rubio there, because the people who he relies upon, I'm telling you, like, they really do know what's happening in Guyana, and they do know what's happening all throughout the region, and they know how all the pieces connect to each other. So the PPP can't really cut a deal with us they can, but it has to be real. And if it's not real, the Rubio people will sniff it out real fast. Okay, so that's what's going on here. So I'm not saying deals can't be made. Deals can be made, right, with the PPP and our government, but they're going to be it's going to be a little bit harder for the PPP to do it, because Rubio actually knows, his network of guys, they know what's going on in the region. They actually do. And that's something new, and it's going to make it harder for them to cut a deal.
Absolutely. 40 minutes after 9 o'clock. My name is Mark Benchop. With me is Tom Anderson and Wayne Caesar. Let me check some of your comments. I did see a comment earlier that I wanted to bring to the attention. Tom, just as a quick follow-up, I did see that here. If we can get back to that, please, Lemon. And so the person was saying, what I saw is that they're asking you, Tom, they say, so Marco Rubio played the government of Guyana? Tom?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what the network, Rubio's network, that's what they do. That's all they do. That's all they've been doing, like, their entire lives, like, since they've been like kids, right? So you have to understand. So Guyana, so from the perspective of Rubio and from America, you have to understand, for everyone in Guyana, so you understand how we view you. The way you're viewed by them is you guys are in cahoots with the Castro regime, with the Cubans. You guys are in cahoots with them. That's how they view you. Okay, that's how Rubio views you. And so his entire network, it goes back decades and decades, and that goes way back into the early 1900s, Rubio's network. And these guys have been basically fighting the people who your country has been partnered with for many, many decades, for a very long time. So that's why the Rubio situation is so different for you all, because his network of people understand Guyana in a way that very few do. Their knowledge of Guyana goes back 60, 70 years for some of them. Okay. And they see Guyana as an enemy to them, because Guyana was always viewed as supportive of Castro. And why was Guyana viewed as supportive? For many reasons, but one of the main reasons, Guyana was one of the first nations to recognize Fidel Castro as the leader of Cuba. Okay, I think only 5 nations in the world accepted Fidel Castro as leader at first, and Guyana was one of the first 5. So Guyana has always been viewed by the Rubio people as an enemy. That's what everyone has to understand watching this. And even Americans need to understand, Rubio is in on this. He understands his situation a lot better than people could ever really know. And the reason why is because his people go back on this. They go way back on it, but they go back on it from the perspective of Castro and Cuba, right? That's how they view Guyana, is what side did you fall on? And you guys fell on the side of Fidel. That's who you supported. So Rubio will never trust you, is the bottom line. And that, I'm telling you now, he will never, ever, ever trust you because of that. And that's what you have in our Secretary of State. It's going to be hard for the PPP or anyone else leading the country to deal with us as long as Rubio is there.
Thank you so much, Tom Anderson. 43 minutes after 9 o'clock. Wayne Caesar, as we go to Guyana right now, this little girl, Adriana Young, there's still no justice as the family's preparing to finally bury her. They're still awaiting justice. What is your take on this whole delay in justice for this little girl and the hands-off approach by Irfan Ali and his so-called government?
Okay, so Mark, when we speak of a delay in justice, um, I am of the belief that this family will not get justice with the PPP government being in power. I believe that the justice will come when there's a change in government and the government is going to be able to reach out to the US and get the FBI in to really do a complete audit of this entire investigation. And probably they can rebuild that crime scene. I don't know what it's going to look like at that point, or if they're going to try to start building back the hotel. But justice for the Adriana Young's family will not come under the PPP. If there's any justice under the PPP, the entire government will fall, because the government is complicit in the murder of this child. There's no doubt about it. It is their people who they have ties with that is responsible for the death of this child. Hence the reason, the major cover-up and the silence. But if they believe that there's going to be an election and the death of this child, among others, is not going to be on the ballot, they have a wrong thought, because the Guyanese people will not forget this child. I promise you that, Mark. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Tom Anderson, what is your take as the family still they're out there fighting for justice?
Yeah, the more I look at it, the more I'm just amazed at how much energy, how much positive energy is behind the name of this young girl, right, and her memory. And so she continues to live on. From an American's perspective, looking at the international support for her and her family, it was awe-inspiring. And from my perspective, and just seeing how these things have gone over the years in Guyana, I think these guys have decided that they're going to sweep this one under the rug, make it go away, pretend like nothing ever happened. That's what they want to try to do. But I'm telling you, man, there's just too much energy behind this one. And it's not, it's not bad energy or negative energy or people are trying to, get revenge kind of energy. No. It's a very loving, supportive energy, actually, because most of the energy is for the family and for the country itself, because all of the families and all the parents in the nation, no matter who you are politically, you can't see a young child like this die in such a way, and for the government to approach it the way that they did. It makes you feel like, there is no justice in your land, and it makes you feel like the children are not safe. And any society where the people, no matter who you are on any side of the political spectrum, can look at the situation and say, hey, this is not right, and it hits to the core of the safety of the nation when it comes to securing the lives of the children and having a government that responds to the deaths of children. When you have that situation where you can't rely on your government to do that, that hurts everybody, right? It hurts everyone. And so what's happening now is, for the people who support the PPP, unfortunately, I know they can see the situation and see how bad it is. And unfortunately for them, since they're so political and they have to push the politics all the time, they're trying to push this away and make it seem like, nothing happened, or they're trying to make it seem like it's the opposition who's trying to make it political. They're doing everything they can mentally to twist themselves into a knot. And then some of them are just outright racist, I've seen on social media, and those guys, they're a lost cause no matter what. Who cares about them? But I do see there's a large population of PPP supporters who have come out publicly to say, hey, this doesn't smell right. And, and good for them for saying that. And I think more people are going to come out to do that and say that. And I think that's the problem that the PPP has in this situation is that this isn't political anymore. It's gone way past politics. It was political. Now it's past politics. Now it's post-political. Now it's at the point where it's a test of the nation's security for children. It's a test of the nation and the government on how it handles controversial cases involving young children and the deaths of young children. This is a litmus test. This is going to be something where everyone around the world can look at this government and measure how good it performs. They don't have to hear from people in Guyana how good the government of the PPP government is. No, everyone around the world can look at how this is being handled, and we all know, everyone knows what kind of government handles this the way that it's been handled, and it's a travesty. It's uncalled for, and I know it's not going to stand. I know it's not going to stand because I can tell by the energy behind it. But I think we got to continue to pray for that and continue to stay steadfast and positive and continue to push as we have, because it's imperative for the nation, for all of you and for us, that our children are protected and that we all help each other, even neighbors help each other when it comes to a poor child like this who lost their life, in such a horrible way.
Thank you, Tom Anderson. And if the family members are watching tonight, our hearts are still with you guys. You deserve justice. You do not deserve the ridiculing coming from some of the Paku, some of the heartless creatures of the PPP regime. It's a pity, though, that there was a bit of a misstep from a legal standpoint in the beginning with the family. But I'm glad that they are now being guided by Dexter Todd. And so we'll talk about that later on. But I do hope that the legal team gets stronger and they can pick up the pieces where they were basically misguided from the beginning. That said, though, I have seen the son of the owner of the hotel, Mr. Caesar, is out there trying to garner up sympathies for himself and to make it appear as though he is the victim in all of this. If you saw that, what is your take, please, Mr. Caesar?
Well, Mark, you could look. I am not surprised. It's obvious that the owner of the hotel, his son, they're all aligned with the PPPC. These people have no shame. They have no conscience. So it doesn't surprise me that he's trying to paint himself as being the victim. But the Guyanese people, they know better. Social media had everything live there. We could everyone what would have happened, a major cover up. The police wasn't letting the family and the community into the hotel, and all of a sudden the next day there was a body in the pool. You cannot change that. That is already saved. Everybody saw that live, so it doesn't matter what he does. Okay, the community is strong and make sure that that hotel is not rebuilt. That hotel should not be rebuilt. Okay, it should not be rebuilt. It's not the first questionable incident that would have occurred there, and I call it an incident, but we all know it's murder. That's my opinion on it. It's murder. All right. And it's not the first time. So why allow that to be the story of your community again? Let it be something of the past. And let's try to cherish this young angel, memory. Right? It's not about the son of the hotel owner. They will at some point have their day in court, because this is not over. It will never be over until the Guyanese public and the family gets justice for young Adriana Young.
Thank you so much, Wayne Caesar. 53 minutes after 9 o'clock. Good night to those of you who have just joined us, whether you're in Guyana, outside of Guyana. Tom, as we look at the time, though, getting back to the sanctions, OFAC sanctions, it means that immediate family members are also included in that. And of course, restriction of their travels as well, possibility of visas being revoked. Talk to us a little bit about the OFAC sanctions.
Yeah, so so everyone can understand when it comes to the sanctions. First of all, the main things everyone should know is this. the sanctions are not reviewable by a court. So there are very few things that can happen in America that the court can't review. One of those things are sanctions. There's nothing. So if you get sanctioned, you can't go to court to get yourself off. It's not happening. You're on. And so to get off is really, really hard. Half of the time, the only time someone gets off is when they pass away, they die. Other than that, and even when they die, I've seen some names on there. Even now, you can go on now. They've died 10 years ago. They're still on there. And I guess because they have assets probably in some bank somewhere. And so their name has to stay on the list. And so it's one of those things that, once you're sanctioned, man, I mean, it stays on you and your businesses for the rest of your life. It just does. And beyond, because even in the next generations who look back on this time, when they see that an individual was sanctioned, that's going to be a big deal. They're going to say, "Oh, look at this guy. He was a bad guy that got sanctioned." That's how it will be looked at, no matter how you cut it. So getting sanctioned is something that not only lasts for the rest of your life, no matter how it goes once you're sanctioned, but it goes to beyond your life. Okay, that's how bad sanctions are. Now, on top of that, like you said, it goes to direct family members as well. So direct family members get hit, and then all your businesses get hit. And the way it works is basically nothing you do can ever enter a business that has a connection to an American financial institution of any kind. Okay, so even if it's the Bank of Guyana, if the Bank of Guyana does business with JP Morgan Chase, then they cannot do business with anyone under American sanctions, because if they do, as soon as the money goes into the Bank of Guyana has to freeze it on behalf of our request. They have to. And if they don't, then the Bank of Guyana gets sanctioned. That's how it works, right? So that's what's going on with the sanctions. It's a very, very, very sticky predicament. It's a very tough predicament. It's one of those deals where once you're on, it's almost impossible to get off. And even if you do get off, you're still labeled as like a criminal almost the rest of your life. So it's going to be really hard to do any kind of banking. Anytime your name comes up in any type of business transaction, even if you get it put off, if your name comes up anywhere, the bank's going to say no. And so it's just going to it just makes it so almost impossible to continue to be very successful under sanctions, unless you're some kind of dictator or you're like a real true criminal, and you can find access to just pure gold and diamonds and whatever, weapons, things that you can barter and trade for cars and cash or whatever you might need. If that's how you are, then you can handle sanctions and you can live under it just fine. But other than those guys, it's really rough on you.
All right. Thank you so much, Tom. And it is not a situation where the president of the United States can wake up one morning and decides that he wants to remove people from that sanction. It doesn't operate like that at all. All right. Good night to all of you. Wayne Caesar. I want us to, and I want Tom.
Mark, real quick. Actually, he can personally. That's the one person who can. The courts can't do anything, but there's one person on the planet who can get you on and off, and it's the president. That's the only one.
That's the president of the United States of America.
That's right. So but that tells you something.
But there's not any history of him or any president ever doing that, though.
Some have taken people off sanctions.
Yeah.
Some have. But here's what happens: is usually because the person has cooperated with us to basically take down an entire drug cartel or an entire regime. Is usually how you can get off of it. And you basically cut a deal with the president himself. And that's the only way you can get off. And so that's why if someone gets put on sanctions, that's why it's so significant, because the person who puts you on is the president of the United States. That's how it works, right? Like that's the guy. And so it's under his authority that you're being put on it. And so when that's the case, that lets you know that, hey, if you're somebody who's on that list, that means the president, your name got all the way up to the direct advisors to the president himself for you to get on there. And then for you to get off, that means your name has to go all the way back up that high again. And you'll have to influence a handful of people, 4 or 5 people in Washington, D.C. to get off. That's very hard to do. And so that's the situation with sanctions.
Tom, before we get to Mr. Caesar, this is one of the guys that was actually recently sanctioned. And it's a pity that we see exactly where this is heading.
But when you think and bother come around and go and bring diamond, them like I'll go and break diamond at this and that. Champo, the village guy get discipline. Discipline must maintain. You understand? Now, the family, he did not know gun. He did. I get video with the gun when he busting upon the man and all thing.
That's one of the sanctioned guys connected to the PVP, said to be very, very close to the Minister of Sports. Is talking about he is there in a village to discipline people. Right? Guyana is a strange place indeed, but this is the video that I wanted to show. And let's get Mr. Caesar's reaction. No sound indeed, but Tom and Mr. Caesar, that's an incident in the village of Agricola on the East Bank. Mr. Caesar, that was after that young man's brother was murdered. But what is your take about this whole gang thing and this shooting and then this guy running up the street with such a gun? Wayne?
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Oh. On my program this past Saturday, I was addressing guns and the amount of guns that's in the street. But when I look at that video, what got me is the type of weapon that young man was carrying. I don't even believe the Guyana Defense Force, you understand me? Their weapons is that good. You know, and it just shows you where Guyana is as a nation. You know, nobody wants to rule Guyana a failed state. Why? Because oil is being extracted. There are investors in the country, you know, and there's a whole lot going on. No one wants to destabilize the country and shake up anything, you know. Money must be made, you know. Guyana right now is a nice financial hub. Everybody's coming in and, you know, getting their good, you know, earnings per share, you know, for everything, whether it's oil, whether it's gold, whether it's diamond, whatever the case is. But the normal man and woman on the ground in Guyana is not experiencing that prosperity. And this is a good example right here. And when you look at this, a young man in the street with an AK or whichever one it is, that's a serious weapon. And you have little children running around him. You got a guy passively riding by on his bicycle, and you have a whole lot of people in the street. Okay? Lawlessness at the highest level. Also, it shows you that young man and his family has no faith in the Guyana police force and the legal system in Guyana. Hence the reason he picked up that gun and attempted, you know, to take things into his own hands. All right. Clifton Hickey, and they just, you know, made him commissioner of police. For what? For what? Look what is happening in the streets every week, every single week, something of this nature. And the PPP is asking for 5 more years. How can they? How can they? This is a lack of programs to help these young people. It's a total breakdown. Okay, and the PPP is not the government to fix this. They are absolutely not the government to fix this because they don't think. Okay, they don't think. More to come, Mark. As we get closer to elections, you're going to start seeing people are going to be getting hurt in the streets. That's just how it is under this regime. Over to you, sir.
4 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you, Wayne Caesar. This kind of weapon. And let's take a look at this same kind of weapon that's in the streets there before we get to Tom as we prepare to wrap up tonight's program. Tom Anderson, you saw that. That's a young man with that high-powered weapon there in the streets. Your take, sir, as we close off tonight's program.
Yeah, well, when I saw it, I thought to myself, well, this is part of the reason why Azruddin Muhammad gets the support he gets, right? He's getting the support he gets because I think people are seeing this chaos and they're saying, okay, well, the PPP, this is under the PPP, and it's only going to get worse with these guys, right? But then they look at the opposition, and where is the opposition on any of this? They don't have a position on it. They're nowhere to be found. And so if you're living in a nation where you've got this happening with this gun that you see with this young man just running down the street, just gunning people down or whatever he was doing, right, with that weapon, if you have a situation like that and the government in control of the PPP, they're the one fostering and creating the situation for that to occur, and then the opposition is basically staying silent when it happens, well, then the only guy you have left to support is the Azruddin Muhammad, who has the same kind of gun next to him on the picture you showed. And Azruddin is like, hey, I'm going to come with the guns now. And so people are like, yeah, come with the guns. We need him with the guns. That's what the people are saying. And they're saying it because the PPP are creating the atmosphere for it to happen, and the opposition staying silent when it does happen. So the only guy left is him. And that's why he's getting so much support. And so I sit back, I look at it as an outsider, and I feel really bad because I'm like, wow, why is it that the people only have this as their choice? They have on one hand the government creating the problem, on the other hand they have the silent opposition, and then the only other option is the guy with the same kind of gun. Well, they're going to go with the gun because they're sick and tired of this. They're sick and tired of it. And so that's why he's getting the support he's getting. And that's why this is such a difficult situation for the nation itself, because there really aren't any good options. And that's why he's running. He's taking advantage of the situation, and he's smart to do it, because if you're in his position and you see this, where the people in control are creating havoc and the opposition are staying silent when the havoc's being created, well, now he can step into the vacuum. There's a vacuum created now, and he steps in. He fills the void. He fills the void of leadership that no one else is providing. And that's why he's in the position he's in now politically. He may not be able to become president. He may just peel enough of votes away to ensure a PPP victory. But even if he does that, that's good for him personally, because he can then take credit with the PPP for getting them in power. And hey, look out for me after the election. He could do that. So this is a smart move for him. Either way it goes, it's a win-win for him, as long as the opposition stays silent when stuff like this happens, when you got kids running down the street just gunning people down like that.
All right. Thank you so much, Tom Anderson. Hey, guys, be careful. Be careful who you vote for. Do not vote for gangsters. Do not vote for people who will hurt you. Do not vote for people who have hurt you and your communities and people within your communities. You know what I'm talking about. Do not vote for them. Mr. Wayne Caesar, your closing remarks as you look into preparations for elections in Guyana.
Yeah, thank you, Mark, again for having me. My closing remarks is going to be very simple tonight to the people of Guyana. The people of Guyana should be looking for change rather than an exchange. They are smart enough. They saw what would have happened to them the past 5 years. And for the 23 years that the PPP was in power, everybody know who was behind that. All the families that were involved in aiding and abetting the PPP. I believe that, presidential candidates need to come clean, when engaging the people. I don't see that with all the individuals or candidates who wants to be, presidential or the president of Guyana. I'm hoping that everyone will come clean. They know themselves. The Guyanese people are smart though, and I am very, very confident as to where people are gonna place their ballots. Look, Guyanese have always had morals. They've always had values, and to see kids shooting up in the street and every week somebody is dying from gunshot wound. Every single week. Where is the country going? Okay, 53% in poverty, fastest growing economy, one of the fastest growing economy. You're not seeing it. It's not trickling down to the people. These are the issues. Justice is not served in Guyana. People don't get justice. We see this with the Adriana Young family. All right. Cost of living is not moving. Inflation is not moving. We have been an oil producing nation for 5 years. The value of the value of the Guyana dollar has not increased, not one bit. I just smell corruption. I just smell corruption through and through, Mark. And this happens. This happens when we have weak institutional frameworks, and the institutional framework, they lack the necessary transparency. Okay. That contributes to the persistence of corruption. And what makes it so bad for Guyana is that it is happening at the government level, at the executive level, at the judiciary level, at the parliamentary level. All right, we have a major corruption problem in Guyana, and it would only take a new government to weed that out. Guyana is in big trouble and it can be the end of Guyana if we don't get a change of government at this coming election. Thank you again for having me, Mark. Over to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Wayne Caesar. Thank you so much, Mr. Thomas Anderson, director, former director of Government Watchdog out in Washington, D.C. It's always a pleasure to have you guys on.
Yeah, my book, man. Gold Bar Bob.
Oh, yeah. We'll deal with the book. Yeah, we have to your book. That Menendez, we got to talk about it. Wayne, did you get your copy as yet? What's going on, Wayne? You gotta get
I'm gonna get my copy. I have to be free so I could really sit down and read that, because I probably have a few questions to Tom. Let's see what's gonna happen.
Get Gavin Caesar copy as well. All of you guys out there, you got to support Tom Anderson. Indeed, he has always been there for over 15 years. Tom, you've been keeping an eye on Guyana, which is good. And the good thing is, practically all of the bad guys, the bad players there. Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you so much, Wayne. And to all our listeners, thank you all so much. See you back tomorrow, same place, same time. Have a good night, guys. All of you.
Yeah.
So long.
Yeah, my name is Jacinty Caldata Francis Vietnam. And since 1965, I become a voter. And I always place my X next to the cup. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data.
Oh, Jesus Christ, if cost of living double, I don't know what happened. A pound of sugar is $300 already. Flour, everything gone up. Everything just raising. You gotta get about $40,000 for buy good ration. You gotta get 3 man now. A weekend man, a monthly man, and a fortnight man.
कभी कभी कहीं कहीं चोरी चोरी छुप छुप के तुम मिला करो प्यारी प्यारी बातें बातें किया करो पर यूं ना मिलना किसी से कभी हमारे सिवा गोरी 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 बोले बोले नए नए
persons can do so peacefully and they can, but blocking the road for hours is something that affects
Mr. Ali, I saw you blocking road. Yes, Mr. Ali.
I'm just telling
Mr.
you.
Ali, there are videos with you protesting, you being a scrape and a tug. Mr. Ali, this is not, listen, sometimes we gotta put our position aside.
No, this is not position.
No, we gotta put our position aside and place ourselves into people's shoes. You gotta understand, even those persons who were traveling, yes, they were inconvenienced, but they understood the reason. They understood the reason.
I am told
there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
Su? Oh, Su?
no, help.
That's what the police do. The police got me. The police got me. The police got me. The police got me. Are you guilty, man? Are you doing this, man? Are you doing this? Are you doing it? Are you fucking doing, man? Are you doing this? Are you doing it? Are you doing it? Are you doing it?
That is saying 7 feet 6 inches, 5 feet 5 inches. If you look at it, right? They're saying 5'5". They're saying 7'6". They're saying 8 feet. So for 8 feet is reasonable depth for a pool. So you would have to go in and check in the pool, right? The young lady is not in the pool. So it could be ruled out that she drowned.
We checked this pool this morning. We checked this pool this morning. This young lady was not in this pool. This girl was not in this pool. This girl was not in this pool. She was not in here. We checked in this pool. The girl was not in there this morning when we come here. We went in this place. This girl was not in here. The girl was not in there, boy. What the fuck? They put this girl in this pool, boy. The fucking girl that went in there. We went in there just now, boy. What the fuck, boy? That's why they didn't want nobody come in the place. They didn't want nobody come in the place. What? That girl was not in the pool. We was here since 7:40 this morning. That girl was not in the pool at 7:40. She was not in the pool at 7:40. What the girl knee has scrape up. Watch how this girl is. The girl knee scrape up. Clearly shows.